Welcome to the Nexus Point. We are Rich Romero and Jeff Bruskin, and this is the podcast for next generation accounting firms.
Welcome back to the Nexus Point Podcast. As always, my name is Rich, and I'm here alongside managing partner and CEO of White Tiger Connections, Jeff Bruskin. How you doing today?
I'm great, Rich. How about you?
I am doing well. It's very cold and blustery here up in the Northeast. I know you know, but we're making it happen. The accounting space is white hot, so it keeps us warm. But today's episode, we're gonna be talking about something that you and I have touched on a little bit in previous episodes. We're really going to kind of focus in and hone in on that topic today. And it's about the tech wave that's happening in every profession, but especially in accounting, and then also remote work and how that's kind of coming into the picture as the profession moves forward. And, you know, we're going to kind of talk about how that can increase capacity, improve margins, and really create a pathway towards the future as the profession continues to go into the future. So just want to jump right in, and I just want to hear your thoughts on what are some trends that that you've seen as far as that make remote work and the tech-driven operations, kind of inevitable in the profession, and where you're seeing it going now.
So I think that there's two factors that's driving the future of technology in the profession. One in the CPA profession. One, Rich, is the talent crisis, and the other is AI. So the talent crisis is this thing which is, I would say, I visualize it almost like from the bottom up, necessitating that firms become more technology enabled. So what does that mean? It means technology enablement to me means, number one, that clients are able to by necessity in many cases, lean on technology to interact with the firm more heavily. So the CPA profession, as we know, heavily paper-based, a lot of foot traffic, the least productive time and hours, and a firm's energy and attention is spent in person with clients, physical paper, except for your best clients. If not at all, you really shouldn't be doing that. But it's the blue chip legacy aspect of the profession. The more digital you can get from a client perspective, the more portal, the more cloud hosted, and the more remote work capable, because you have things like project management software and workflow management systems, clear delineation of roles and responsibilities, very segmented service offerings and ways of interacting with clients at different points along the communication paradigm. All of that is to say technology helps this. And the more tech that you have, the better able to navigate the talent crisis, the realities of the P&L difficulty of running an accounting firm, where traditionally you're at 10 or 15 or 20% margin. And yet you hear about firms that are at 40, 50, 60, 70% margin, and even some that are not working 3,000 hours a year. So how do you be at a 60% margin, but only work 600 hours a year? It's with technology is the answer to that. And in the same breath, I'll say AI, I picture kind of like, where talent is, and the issues are pushing on the market. The AI wave, which is only building in intensity, Rich, is maybe pulling, and creating more of that need for technology, because the more tech enabled the firm is, again, workflow management software, project management software, interconnected cloud hosted tax with a Soroban or a Blackor or a SurePrep, or any of these softwares which are automating document collection and return preparation and 8879 delivery and client intake and all of these different functions, these tasks, which can be, through technology, the task is automated. Where we're going, we're only 1 degree of separation away from this, is not only, Rich, are the tasks going to be automated, thereby eliminating a lot of the low-level administrative and preparatory and bookkeeping-oriented resources, the lowest level people in accounting firms, but we're actually going to be automating, and we're, I think, a year away from this as of January of 26, the threading together of those tasks throughout the supply chain of delivery. That's the next step. What's the step beyond that? Advisory and, review, and it starts to get very exciting for the accounting firm business owner. This is to say, both for reasons of talent crisis and for reasons of the increasingly amazing realities that the AI is doing for us. It's just an incredible necessity to be tech focused in the way that you are scaling your accounting firm.
Well, and I appreciate that. And a little bit later, we may get into some more of those softwares and tools that you kind of talked about and best ways to kind of evaluate them. So I'm glad you kind of brought that up initially, and we'll touch on that later. And he also spoke on something that I maybe want you to go a little bit further in detail on, just about how it can, with automation and things like that, it can reshape different service lines inside of a firm, because it seems like that's also something that a lot of accounting firm owners and owners that we're talking to now want to navigate and figure out, because they see value in there. So how does the tech and the automation and all that stuff allow that to happen, and for them to go further and deliver more to the clients that they're already taking care of?
So it's a great question, right? So the tech creates more intuitive cross-selling and more intuitive interconnectivity between services, whether we're talking accounting and tax, tax and financial planning, tax and wealth management, accounting and benefits, or accounting and HR, or all of these services, on the continuum of professional services, right? Because both personal and professional services, I view, Rich, as existing on a continuum. They're all, one or two degrees of separation from one another. Payroll, for example, is the nexus between HR as a service and accounting as a service. Tax, for example, is the nexus between financial planning and wealth management and accounting in the event that you own a business as well. And even CFO services, right? So all of these services are on a continuum. And the more tech enablement you have, the better your ability to identify opportunities, right, for clients to have more value provided to them, either through surveys to the clients or through, if you're looking at a balance sheet and you're seeing that one area of a client's business is too high and there's cost reduction strategies in there, or if you're analyzing a tax return and you might see that there's financial planning or wealth management or insurance or captive policies or tax mitigation policies in there. The tech, even now, but certainly, Rich, where the tech is going, is bringing us to a point where, with the right tracking of all of this data that we have on a client's behalf, if we then also possess, right, now I get a little bit greedy, the internal ability to deliver some of these ancillary services for clients as well, we can identify, hey, there's a real opportunity to provide this entirely separate paradigm of value, which is maybe one, two, or three orders of magnitude, right, above the value that you're currently receiving in whatever this ancillary category is. And then, hey, not only can we identify it, but we can provide that service to you. So we're not going to charge them, three times order of magnitude more for it, but maybe we can charge them 1.2 or 1.3 times kind of what's appropriate, because we should have a premium for identifying that opportunity and then providing them with that service. And that's really where cross-selling starts to become very exciting. It's probably gotten the most attention in the wealth management financial planning space insofar as tax is concerned, either through mergers and acquisitions or through building out internal tax capabilities. If you have, Rich, a tech-enabled firm, your ability to identify these opportunities, to cross-sell them, and then ultimately to deliver on these opportunities and then scale that structure all becomes exponentially greater.
Yeah, and I mean, when we're having conversations with people, it's always about like, what's the next opportunity? They never want to be left behind or one or two steps back. So I think it's important that that we're having this conversation today, because it's eye opening, and technology and the future can often be like off-putting, and automation. People are always worried about things and what it can do, but in reality, it's there to help. And I think the more that people access it and the more that people try to understand it, it's only going to create the value that they think that they only see in the opportunity. But I kind of want to shift the conversation just slightly now to the remote staffing side of things. And I just want to hear your thoughts, because it's something that at White Tiger Connections, we really believe, and we really see the trends moving towards that. I just want to hear your thoughts about like how it can improve quality of life, because that's a very big, important thing in a lot of people's lives, excuse me, but that also just like, again, affecting the business with margins and capacity and things like that as well.
So I have two comments here. I want to go back first to something I heard you say earlier about some of the fear or the anxiety or the inactivity around adopting technology change. I think a lot of firms, Rich, have a fear that like technology is the next shiny object, and it might do something for them, but it's actually going to be more of a time commitment to even adopt the tech, to figure out the tech, to start using the tech for whatever this ethereal, utopian sort of better firm environment that's going to create for me, maybe at some point in the future, right? And so there's then that inaction. What I'd encourage firm owners to do, as far as tech is concerned, is to spend a day a month, half a day a month, outside of busy season, whatever it is, diving into, podcasts and looking at some of the major influencers in the space, like Jason Statz, for example, who's all over LinkedIn and X, and others, to understand why there is so much of this discussion around tech. It is not just a shiny object syndrome. This is the platform through which the most profitable, the most fast growing firms are running on, and they are doing it without sacrificing client service. There is something here that is creating a new normal for what is possible in the accounting profession. And even if you don't want to grow a $10 million firm, you just want to have a $1 million firm, but you want to have it at a 70% margin instead of the 30% margin that you're at today, tech is the way to doing it. It's not the answer, but it's the platform on which the answer is built. To that end, I think that segues nicely, Rich, into your question about the remote work. Because what we find is that whether you are in Manhattan or Montana today, 2026, the talent market is it's hard. It's almost impossible. We have an executive recruiting business, which is a major component of our business model. And we will quite likely do 0 searches that are in office searches in 2026. And the reason is just because no matter where you are, whether rural or urban, if you require your talent to be in the office and you are growing, how can you reliably have a growth thesis? Because of course you're going to have to, even if you have capacity at some point, if you're investing in your growth, you're going to have to hire. And unless you're prepared to compensate exorbitantly above market standard, you have to get lucky, because there is so much more demand for these services than there are supply of competent people who can do it. And then there are even less people who have character and who are loyal and who are trustworthy. That's true, broadly speaking. I hate to be a conspiracy theorist. I think it's even more true in the accounting profession. It's hard to find people who want to work, who want to give themselves to you. And yet, as soon as you remove the geographic barrier, what we find is that there are people everywhere who are exceptional quality human beings that are burned out working for firms that do not treat them like they deserve to be treated. I'm actually not even talking about comp, talking about, like you said, quality of life, talking about being promised a career trajectory and not being granted it. Private equity is buying these firms and then just using and abusing the staff who are leaving in droves. Clients are leaving in droves. This is all the froth that we talk about endlessly in the profession. And so maybe it's only 1 or 2 or maybe 3% of the talent in the entire country that has that character to be able to be successful in your remote environment. But that is a massive candidate pool when we compare that to whatever is available in a particular local geography. It also enables us, Rich, to bring the best of the best. So instead of settling for subpar talent in a local geography, we could say, remove the barrier, just find me the best people. The best people, Rich, can't be successful in a firm remotely that is not set up to support them. And so that comes to the conversation about build the technology infrastructure. It's not rocket science. There is some stuff that you have to do, and you can learn about it if you focus and you talk to some folks who are subject matter experts. It won't take you long. The investment and even the hiring of the remote talent in that environment, it will pay dividends immediately. But you have to cross the Rubicon of getting comfortable with the concept of remote work and the concept of running a technology enabled firm, whatever that means, because it's the only environment that the remote, 10 out of 10 candidate is going to be able to do what you need someone to do so that you can grow the business, get into quality of life, etc.
Yeah. And I mean, in the conversations that I'm having, it's interesting kind of how the topic comes up, because again, in previous episodes, we've touched on it. It's a little bit of a wishy-washy subject, just in terms of like, they're not sure how to do it. And, once you kind of, again, something else we touched on, just building trust, a client or a prospect, or especially with an advisor who, really has the understanding of how to make it happen and how to, facilitate this, goes a long way, because they can show you like there is physical evidence, anecdotal evidence. There's writing on the wall that say like these things are possible. You just have to be willing to go forward and keep doing it, because we're not trying to waste anyone's time. And to bring back something else that you were talking about earlier, just as far as some of the softwares and technology, when you're having conversations, whether it's with a firm that is a client or someone that's just kind of interested in scaling and things like that, how do you, have conversations around how they should evaluate? Like, or have you ever done evaluations with them? Do you hop on demos? Do you show them products and things like that? And how do you figure out what's going to be best for them at where they are and where they're trying to go?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the first thing is, I think there are some products where the juice is not worth the squeeze. So I will be very forthright about products that I don't recommend. And there are some. I've just seen too many horror stories. And actually, Rich, it's usually the horror stories are usually not about function. The horror stories are usually about customer service. And so that's where, there are always innumerable one-off things that are not out of the box things. And so if a company is the best thing since sliced bread, it's technology product, but it does not have exceptional customer service, I will not recommend. I will vehemently tell clients and the connections in the industry to avoid that like the plague, because customer success is everything today. However, there are a large group of products that have exceptional customer service and that they do the job. And so what I try to do in terms of evaluation, to answer your question, Rich, is I want as minimal interruption in the client's business as humanly possible. So if they're already using, certain products which naturally have like native APIs into other products that are part of building out the tech stack that ultimately is going to be what's required to create this, this platform environment, this baseline sort of tech system, we go with the products as long as the customer success is acceptable. That is going to be the least disruptive, the most intuitive based on their existing stack. We don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. We just want that functional kind of necessity to be capable. And then we can build the workflows, the interconnectivities between the softwares on a one-off basis. So no, I hop on demos, but I definitely very close with our clients, our prospects in terms of their evaluative process. I advise them on it and then help them understand how ultimately it can work as long as you have kind of all of the right pieces assembled.
And I think that's important too, because I think sometimes like people are afraid that you are going to come in and try to reinvent the wheel. You're going to just totally blow up their process. And that's really not what we're trying to do when we're having these conversations, trying to, build the platform that we've been talking about all day today. And it's really impressive to just know that we have like the understanding of different products, how they link together with other things, and that we're constantly learning about these things as well. And that we're confident that we can do this and we can make it happen because we've seen it happen. And, I think that's a great place for us to wrap up there, because again, I think that the firms that are doing this now, facing this now, will not only win now, but they'll continue to win in the future, and it'll allow for more scalability, more opportunity, and quite honestly, some more freedom. So anything else you kind of want to quickly share before we sign off? But I really appreciate you going into all that stuff with me today.
No, you nailed it. I mean, just the one thing I would add to the final comment that you made, which I think is spot on, Rich, is also for firms that are considering a liquidity event, a transaction, this is going to help that, right? So if you're, for example, 2 million in revenue and you're doing, your take home is 600,000 a year, and you're not really in a technology enabled environment, and 3 years from now you're planning to sell, and you do some kind of technology transformation type stuff, and you're still 2 million in revenue and 600,000 and all in take home, you're going to have a better liquidity event. You're going to get more cash up front. It's a stronger overall deal structure because the buyers are going to feel like to replace you on your journey to retirement, it's going to be that much less of a barrier to entry. So there's some client behavior stuff and some other things that's in there, but the tech is the core of the change management, the transformation, the opportunity capture, and just the general direction of the market. And so can't recommend a focus on technology highly enough in the CPA space.
Well, thank you for adding that on there. And again, as always, I appreciate your insight, your experience, and all the things that you share with us. And that'll wrap this episode up. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week with some more on the accounting space. So have a good one, and we'll talk soon.
Take care.
Thank you for watching the Nexus Point. See you next time.